You are putting your life and the lives of your passengers on two things you almost never think about: the four patches of rubber holding your car to the road. You've been setting your tire pressure wrong for half the year, and it's costing you money, wearing out your tires faster, and making your car dangerous. Stick around, because the secret is simple, and it has everything to do with the air you breathe. Hey, every single driver I know, even the ones who think they're car experts, gets this wrong. That sticker is a lie, at least for 6 months of the year. If you live somewhere with seasons, your ideal tire pressure changes all the time, and missing this one detail is ruining your fuel economy and could cause a blowout. Today, we're fixing that forever. Why do we even care about a few pounds of pressure? It's just air, right? Wrong. Think of your tire like a high-tech running shoe for your car. The pressure inside is what keeps the sole, the tread, flat against the ground. When the pressure is too low, the tire sags on the sides. Now, instead of the full, flat patch gripping the road, you've got the shoulders of the tire digging in and the middle kind of collapsing. It's like trying to run on soft sand. Your engine has to work harder to push that flattened, dragging rubber across the pavement, and that means you're burning more gas. A small drop, say 5 to 10 psi, can easily cost you a tank of gas over a few months just in wasted fuel. It bows out in the middle. Now, the tire is riding only on its very center. This is terrible for grip, especially in wet conditions, because you have less surface area touching the road. It's like running on a single basketball, bouncy, uncontrolled, and dangerous. Plus, all that stress on the center part of the tread means the middle of your tire wears out way faster than the sides. You're throwing away perfectly good rubber because the middle is bald, but the edges still look fine. So, the challenge is simple: maintaining the perfect pressure at all times. The pressure that gives you the best grip, the best fuel economy, and the longest life for your expensive tires. And here is the secret that every single driver forgets: air pressure changes with temperature. And not by a tiny, insignificant amount. It changes by a huge, safety-critical amount. Let's dive into the physics of why the air inside your tire is constantly plotting against you. Don't worry, we don't need a textbook. Just a simple idea: when air gets hot, it expands. Your tire pressure gauge is just measuring how hard that air is pushing against the inside walls of the tire. Here's the massive part everyone misses. For every 10 degrees Fahrenheit the air temperature drops, your tire pressure drops by about 1 psi, pound per square inch. And the reverse is true. For every 10 degrees Fahrenheit the temperature rises, your tire pressure goes up by about 1 psi. Imagine you live in a place like Chicago or Denver. In July, your average daily temperature might be 85 degrees Fahrenheit. You fill your tires up to 32 psi, the perfect number on your door sticker, in that 85-degree weather. Life is good, but then November rolls around. The average temperature drops to 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's do the math together. 50-degree drop divided by 10 degrees equals 5. That means your tire pressure has dropped by a shocking 5 psi. You set them at 32 psi in the summer, and now you are driving around at 27 psi. That's severely underinflated. Your car is now burning extra gas, the steering feels mushy, and you are dangerously heating up the sidewalls of the rubber. The reverse happens in the spring. You set your tires perfectly in a 40-degree garage during the cold February morning. Then, May rolls around, and you have 90-degree days. That's a 50-degree climb. Your tires, which you set to 32 psi, are now running at 37 psi. They are overinflated. You've lost a ton of traction, your car is bouncing over every little bump, and the center of your tread is wearing away like an eraser. So, the biggest secret, the one that makes every driver look like they don't know what they're doing, is that the perfect pressure isn't a single number. It's a dynamic number that must be adjusted for the season. This leads us to the critical timing of when to check and adjust. When the weather transitions from cold to hot, late spring/early summer. This is the big seasonal correction. Now, let's talk about the absolute most important rule when actually checking your tires, because even if you get the season right, you can mess up the reading. You've probably heard people talk about cold tire pressure. This is not just a suggestion, it's a law of physics you have to follow. When you drive, the friction between the tire and the road generates heat. This is normal. If you drive to a gas station that's 10 minutes away, your tires are already warm, and the pressure reading will be artificially high. maybe 2 to 4 psi higher than the true reading. If you then fill them up to 32 psi based on that warm reading, the true cold pressure will be much lower once the tire cools down overnight. You've fooled yourself into underinflating your tires. The rule is this: you must check and adjust your tires when they are cold. Cold means the car hasn't been driven for at least 3 hours, or it hasn't been driven more than a mile at a moderate speed. This is why the best time to check your tire pressure is first thing in the morning, right before you leave your driveway, or when you've had the car parked at the office all day. You need a simple, accurate tire gauge in your glove box and a small portable air pump, or you need to be prepared to drive less than a mile to a free air station. But wait, there's one more layer to this secret that separates the true car experts from the amateurs. It's not just the temperature outside, it's the temperature swing every single day. Let's imagine a typical late autumn day. It is 35 degrees Fahrenheit when you leave for work at 7 a.m. Great job, you park at work. The sun comes out. By 3 p.m., the air temperature has climbed up to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a 20-degree swing. Your tires, which were 32 psi this morning, are now running at 34 psi. That's a 2 psi jump. Not a huge deal, but it's a constant battle. The real key here is understanding the seasonal effect is cumulative. It keeps dropping day after day. You need to make a large, one-time seasonal adjustment, and then commit to a quick check at least once a month, always in the morning. This routine will save you hundreds on gas and tire replacement. So, let's break down the exact steps for the seasonal change. Step 1. Find the true target pressure. Do not guess. Open your driver's side door. Look for the sticker, usually on the door jamb or sometimes inside the glove box or the fuel door. It will list the recommended PSI for both the front and rear tires. It usually says something like cold tire inflation pressure. Let's assume your sticker says 32 psi. This is your target. Step 2. Note the major temperature shift. If you are going from summer, average 80 degrees Fahrenheit, to winter, average 40 degrees Fahrenheit, that is a 40 degrees Fahrenheit drop. This is where the magic happens. You know your tires will lose 4 psi over time once the cold weather settles in. Step 3. The cold fill adjustment. You have two options here, and one is much better than the other. Option A. The standard way: wait for the full cold season to hit. This is the simple, direct fix. Option B. The proactive way: if you set your tires in a warm season, and you know a 40-degree temperature drop is coming, you can actually overinflate your tires slightly in the warm weather to compensate for the coming cold. If your target is 32 psi, you might put 34 or 35 psi in them right before the cold hits, knowing they will naturally settle back down to the target 32 psi when the temperature stabilizes at the cold average. I honestly don't recommend this for most people because it's too confusing and you'll forget, making your car overinflated for weeks. The simple truth is option A is the best. Then, repeat the check and refill again on a warm morning in the spring. That's the secret, simple seasonal adjustment. The reason most drivers forget this is because the change is slow and sneaky. You don't lose 5 psi overnight. You lose 1 psi this week, 1 psi next week, and before you know it, you are running dangerously low. This is why modern cars have that little blinking light on the dashboard, the TPMS light, the tire pressure monitoring system. However, the TPMS light is also a huge part of the problem. Many TPMS systems are only set to go off when the tire pressure drops 25% below the recommended level. For a car with a 32 psi target, the light might not even come on until the pressure is around 24 psi. That is way too low. By the time that light turns on, you've already been losing money on gas and destroying your tires for weeks or months. You need to be checking the real number, not waiting for the idiot light. Let's take a deep breath and recap the main idea before we move on to the massive benefit of getting this right. The secret is that you are not filling the tire, you are filling the volume inside the tire. And that volume of air is highly sensitive to the outside air temperature. A 50-degree temperature swing from summer to winter means a 5 psi swing, which is enough to put you in the danger zone. The true learning here is that car ownership is not a one-and-done process. It's a constant, low-level management process. You don't set your clock once a year. You set your tires twice a year, at the minimum, and check them monthly. Climax/key moment. So, we've talked about the problem, the sneaky, season-driven drop in pressure. We've talked about the physics. 1 \text psi for every 10 carat /circ \text f. And we've talked about the fix. Check and adjust on a cold morning twice a year during the big seasonal shifts. But I want to focus on the absolute most important payoff that makes all of this trouble worth it. It's not just making your tires last longer, though that's also huge. The climax of this whole situation is safety and control. Think about the worst-case scenario. You are driving on a freeway at 70 miles per hour and it starts raining, or you have to swerve to avoid something that flew onto the road. Your car's ability to stop or change direction relies completely on the grip, the contact patch, of your tires. If your tires are running at 27 \text psi instead of the correct 32 \text psi, it's because you forgot the winter check. That underinflation is doing two things. It's making the tire tread contact patch uneven and floppy. The full width of the tire is not pressing down hard and evenly. It's mushy. It's introducing an uncontrollable variable. A tire that is 5 psi low doesn't just feel a little flat. It changes the handling of the car dramatically, especially when you push it in a turn. The car feels lazy, delayed, and unstable. In an emergency situation, that split-second delay or loss of grip is the difference between an accident and a near miss. And the absolute worst part is the heat buildup. This extreme flexing generates extreme heat. This isn't just warm, it's boiling hot inside the rubber structure. This heat breaks down the tire's internal layers, the steel belts, and the rubber itself, and that is what causes a sudden, catastrophic blowout. A tire blowing out at highway speed is one of the most terrifying, dangerous, and often fatal car failures you can experience. The key moment, the final lesson, is this: your tire pressure check is not about saving money. It's a non-negotiable safety procedure. Now, let's look at one final pro tip before we wrap this up: filling with nitrogen. You've probably seen the signs. Fill your tires with nitrogen. For a lot of people, this is a total scam. They charge you a bunch of money for something you can get for free. However, there is one small piece of truth here. Regular air is about 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% other stuff. Nitrogen molecules are slightly larger than oxygen molecules, which means they leak out of the tire rubber at a much slower rate. Also, and more relevant to our topic, nitrogen is less susceptible to temperature changes than regular air. It's more stable. So, if you fill your tires with 100% nitrogen, your pressure will be a bit more stable, and you might not need to check it quite as often. But, frankly, it's expensive, and you can't top it off at a regular gas station. For 99% of drivers, the better solution is to stick with air and commit to the seasonal check. Don't pay for nitrogen when the real secret is the timing of the check, not the gas you put in. To maximize safety and maximize the life of your car and your tires, you need to think about the two major seasons. Winter prep, fall check in late October or early November, when the first cold snap hits. Check and set your tires to the door sticker PSI. This compensates for the huge drop caused by the cold air. Summer prep, spring check. In late April or early May, when the weather is consistently warm, check and set your tires to the door sticker PSI. This compensates for the pressure that has naturally increased as the ambient temperature went up. This simple, twice-a-year procedure, backed up by a monthly cold check, is the secret that separates the drivers who get 80,000 miles out of a set of tires from the drivers who have blowouts and need new tires every 40,000 miles. It's all about the air you breathe and how it behaves inside that black ring of rubber. Conclusion/summary. We started by saying that your door sticker is a lie for half the year, and now you know why. It's not a lie, it's a constant. And the air pressure is a variable. The secret is that the pressure in your tires drops by about 1 \text psi for every 10 carat /circ \text f of temperature drop. That means a 50-degree seasonal change causes a 5 \text psio drop, making your car less safe, burning more fuel, and killing your tires. The solution is simple. Stop checking your tires when they are hot. Only check them cold, first thing in the morning. Once in the late fall to compensate for the incoming cold, and once in the late spring to compensate for the incoming heat. Always use the PSI number on the car's door jamb, not the max PSI written on the tire itself. Never rely on the TPMS light. It only tells you when you're already in trouble. Tire pressure is the single most important maintenance item you can do that takes 2 minutes and costs $0. Get this right, and you will save money, extend your tire life, and most importantly, you will dramatically increase the safety of your vehicle. Don't forget the secret of the seasons.